Fred Demara impersonated a Royal Canadian Navy surgeon, successfully performed complex operations, taught college biology courses, and served as a prison warden, with 0 qualifications in anything, ever. Every man Demara operated on survived. Every student he taught passed their courses. Every prisoner he supervised was managed without incident. He was exposed not because he was incompetent, but because a real doctor read a newspaper article about himself and didn't recognize his own photograph. Ferdinand Waldo Demara, Jr. was born in Lawrence, Massachusetts in 1921. His family fell from comfortable middle-class circumstances into poverty during the Depression, an experience that appeared to leave him with an intense need to be someone other than who he was. At 16, he ran away from home and joined a monastery. He left the monastery. He joined the army. He went absent without leave. He joined the Navy. He went AWOL again and faked his own suicide to avoid arrest. He had a photographic memory. He could read a medical or legal or scientific textbook and retain it completely. He understood, before he had fully articulated it to himself, that in most professional contexts, the credentials mattered more than the knowledge, and that credentials could be fabricated while knowledge, if you worked hard enough at it, could be acquired. Over the following decades, he impersonated a monk, a college psychology professor, a civil engineer, a sheriff's deputy, a doctor of philosophy, a cancer researcher, a hospital administrator, a prison warden, and a naval surgeon. He obtained and used the credentials of real people, lived under assumed identities for extended periods, and was consistently regarded as competent and often outstanding in the roles he had assumed. His most remarkable deception involved the identity of Dr. Joseph Cyr, a real Canadian physician whose credentials Demara had borrowed, with Cyr's initial knowledge and tentative consent, and then used without authorization for much longer than either had agreed. In 1951, Demara, posing as Dr. Cyr, enlisted in the Royal Canadian Navy. He was assigned as a surgeon to HMCS Cayuga, a destroyer operating in Korean waters during the Korean War. He served for months aboard the Cayuga, conducting routine medical examinations, treating illness, managing injuries. He studied his medical textbooks in his quarters. He was, by all accounts from the crew, a competent and confident ship's doctor. Then the ship encountered Korean casualties from combat, soldiers badly wounded, injuries requiring surgery. Demara had never performed surgery. He had no surgical training. He had a surgical textbook. He read the relevant chapters carefully. He prepared the operating theater. He performed the surgeries. The cases included a man with a bullet lodged near his heart, a procedure that required careful dissection through chest tissue to reach and remove it without causing fatal bleeding. Demara performed it. He performed multiple complex procedures on Korean casualties brought aboard the Cayuga over several days of intense activity. Every patient survived. The crew of HMCS Cayuga, 201 sailors, were aware they had a surgeon who had performed complex combat surgery under pressure and produced results that in any legitimate evaluation would have marked him as an exceptional physician. The ship's captain wrote a commendation. The commendation was publicized. Newspapers in Canada ran the story of the heroic ship's doctor, Dr. Joseph Cyr. The real Dr. Joseph Cyr, practicing medicine in New Brunswick, read the articles. He did not recognize the photograph. He contacted the Navy. Demara was arrested and discharged from the Royal Canadian Navy. He was not charged with criminal offenses. The Navy appeared to have concluded that the publicity of a formal prosecution was worse than a quiet discharge. He was released. He continued. Over the following years, he worked as a prison warden in Texas, successfully, the prisoners liked him, as a teacher, as a religious worker. He was exposed multiple times. He reinvented himself each time. Life magazine ran a profile in 1952 that called him the Great Imposter. A book followed. A film followed in 1960, with Tony Curtis playing Demara. He was by this point more famous for being Fred Demara than for any identity he had assumed. He spent his later years doing legitimate work, as a hospital chaplain visiting patients in California hospitals. He was apparently good at it. He died in 1982 at the age of 60 of heart failure in Anaheim, California. As far as anyone has established, his final hospital chaplain role was genuinely his own. He had no qualifications for anything he ever did. He performed cardiac surgery from a textbook, and every man on the table lived. He ran prisons, taught courses, managed institutions, and was discovered not through incompetence, but through a commendation that was too public. The man who faked 17. Careers and fooled everyone. Fred Demara understood something that most professional credentialing systems prefer not to acknowledge. A significant portion of competence is confidence, preparation, and the willingness to learn quickly. He had all three in quantities that were essentially unlimited. The real Dr. Joseph Sear, the man whose identity he had used, was reportedly more amused than angry. Subscribe if you want more. See you in the next one. C.